What do Pavarotti, Tarzan, and screaming babies have in common besides a good pair of lungs? Well, each is using his voice in a special way. Now, one of the remarkable things about the human voice is that even though each one of us has the same vocal equipment, the sounds that come out are incredibly varied. We've gotten a number of questions about the voice and how it works, and here's one from James L. Atkinson of Norwalk, California, who writes, "How does our voice make so many sounds?" Good question. Let's ask a voice expert, Jo Estill of the Voice Foundation in New York. Welcome, Jo, to the program.
Thank you, Ira. I'm glad to be here.
Let's get right into that question. How do you make a voice? I mean, how is it made?
You have to have three things to make a voice, Ira. You have to have a power supply, which is the air that comes from the lungs. It takes a sound maker, which is right here at the larynx or in the voice box, and that sound then travels through the vocal tract, and it comes out here.
Now, what have you got in your hand there?
This is a model of the larynx or the voice box, and it's almost the size of your big model here.
Yeah, it fits right into the big guy.
Right, and you can find it on yourself by finding the Adam's apple.
That's the... it's not an apple at all.
No,
it's like a little point that sticks out there. Where is that?
And it's right here at the neck, and you can find it.
Oh, it protrudes right out over here.
Right.
Now, what's inside the voice box?
Well, inside the voice box, there are two folds of muscle that open and close, and every time air passes through it, it helps to make a sound.
Is that what we call the vocal cords?
Vocal folds. They used to call them cords, but now because they're really folds of muscle, they call them a fold.
Now, what is that? The beautiful voice sound that comes out of that now when the air goes through there?
No, the air, the noise that comes out at this level is just nothing but a Bronx cheer, like.
That's the sound?
That's the sound.
Really?
That's all.
Well, I could see something that size, it would come out like that.
That's right, but this is too big for a voice, the real voice. Do you have any change, Ira?
Yeah, I got some change. I got a few pennies.
Give me a dime.
A dime?
Give me a dime.
All right.
You see this little dime? A woman's voice, the length of her vocal folds is only about 1/2 to 3/4 of that width of that dime.
Okay.
And a man's is about 3/4 to a little bit wider than the dime.
You mean all those big opera singers, if you're putting out all that power, their vocal folds are just as big as the dime?
Incredible, isn't it?
It really is amazing. In fact, it's a good time to try to take a look at some vocal folds right now. And in fact, we made some videotapes, you might remember, of your vocal folds.
Right.
And so let's look and see what happens when we speak and even when we sing.
Getting to know you, getting to know all about you, getting to know.
You know, it's amazing. The part that the vocal folds are open, is that the part when you're singing?
No, that's the part when I'm breathing. When I'm really singing, you can't see it.
So when they look like they're closed, they're actually vibrating, but too fast to see.
That's right. Here you see it in slow motion, Ira. The chords moving back and forth.
That's a close-up view in slow motion as well?
Very slow motion.
Flapping together.
Right.
All right, now, that's the sound, obviously, is coming out of those vocal folds. And that's the Bronx cheer that you were talking about, the random sound before.
Right.
How do we get from there to the nice, beautiful sounds we're used to hearing?
Remember, it had to pass through the vocal tract. Now, let me show you what the vocal tract does with this little tuning fork.
Right.
If I put the tuning fork on this vocal box...
Amplifies it and resonates it.
Right. But the vocal tract will respond to any sound I give it. For instance, if I just hold my breath and beat against my bottom of my throat or under my chin.
Look at that. Wow, so all you need is that sound in your vocal folds, and then the rest of your vocal tract takes care of it.
That's right.
Shapes it and things like that.
Here we have an electric larynx, an electrolarynx, and if you'll put this up to your...
Oh, this is for people who don't have vocal cords.
That's right.
This is just a random sound jitter.
So, say something. Hold your breath, though, and say something. There you go.
Oh, that was very good. All right, well, that explains how we make sounds and how we shape them into vowels and consonants and things. It still doesn't explain why my voice is different than your voice and everybody else's voice is different.
Let's go back to the model.
All right, I'll follow you.
We can do a number of things to change quality, but one of the big things that we can do is change the shape of the vocal tract back here. The vowels were made primarily with the tongue and the front of the mouth, but if you change the shape of this vocal tract back here, you'll change quality. For instance, if you keep this port open, this velopharyngeal port, for instance.
I'll keep that open.
Right.
That's the bit connects the nose and the mouth.
And the mouth, right. You can get a sound that sounds like this. Right? Try it.
E-A-I-O-U.
Right.
Very, very tough to talk
That's
like
right.
that.
We don't normally do that. We close this when we make vowels. So.
What else would happen here?
Another thing that you could do is you could make the vocal tract very long, and you could lower the larynx and make the vocal tract very wide, as you would if you were one of those
Those FM radio announcers,
Right,
or those guys
right.
who introduce
Cultured.
classical music announcers.
Right.
Yes. Anything else you can do?
Yeah, you could narrow this point right here. You could make that very small, and you could talk like this, like the Wicked Witch of the West, right?
Like the Wicked Witch of the West.
Right.
Toto will never see Kansas again.
There you go.
Well, that's very, very interesting. I want to thank you for coming and taking time to explain all this. Stick around. There's a lot more coming.